All right, then, lads, welcome back to Kosi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to uh, the last live show that we will do talking about the UEFA Champions League, right? And of course, we're gonna be doing this in a very, very calm way. I've done my fan cam. Glenn has not done his, so I won't be surprised if Glenn is absolutely fuming, but that is one of the worst performances we've seen in a very, very long time. And non because everything was bad, right? The result is bad. The game was hard to watch. I do not remember anything in that game that that motivated me. I don't remember. But Glenn, welcome to the show, bro. Let's start off with that. What is your reaction to that? Because it's a game where we went in and we wanted to do everything possible to get 3 points, and we did nothing to get 3 points. What was your reaction?
I am so heartbroken. I am so heartbroken. After the first half, I started thinking about what you were telling me because you had asked me what we need to do, and I told you need to score an early goal. And then your words were just hitting my head, just going through my head about what you said. Like we need to defend, and then maybe attack in the second half. I was like, Cozy was right. You just said we didn't do anything to get a win. We didn't even do anything to get a draw.
Absolutely.
Forget a win. Listen, obviously we needed a win, but in a day like this, you rather not lose, as you said, Ali, when you said that show. If we draw the game, then we can even hope Norwich gets a draw against Tottenham.
Yeah.
But now, since we lost, we need Norwich to win. Now, Tottenham's draw will be enough for them to get top four. I am very heartbroken. I did not expect us to put up a performance like that. It's not just one player, it's everyone from the back to the front. And then it sums it up when you realize that we conceded our first goal after Tavares' foul throw. That is so heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. Joelinton running from midfield on the left all by himself, getting the assist. Bruno Guimaraes scoring the goal. Absolutely dominated El Neni and Xhaka, both of them today. Yeah. We had no midfield today. And it is so heartbreaking because it's so heartbreaking. It was in our hands. And I've just seen Saka's interview.
It's so heartbreaking because Arsenal know, and everybody knows that who watches this channel and has seen me speak, that this was a race that we could have won 7 weeks ago. This was a race where we just needed to keep our foot on, our foot on the accelerator just to keep it moving. And then what we decided to do was to try to overpress the gas pedal, and we panicked. And when we panicked, there was no coming back. There was absolutely no coming back. But let's first start off with the first half. The first half, and Mikel Arteta, how he set up. We talked about the lineups. They were okay. That was our best 11, apart from maybe Gabriel Martinelli. But the first half was a reflection of what was going to happen throughout the 90 minutes. It was a half where Arsenal did not win any first ball. It was a half where Arsenal did not try to win any second balls. It was a half where Arsenal literally were trapped in, I don't know. We were trapped in I don't know. Is it panic? Do you think we just panicked? Because in the first half, we were afraid to do anything. We were afraid to get any closer to them defensively, and we were afraid to commit numbers forward. When I saw the limited kinds of press that we tried to do, 5 players could go up, and then you had the others stay. And of course, 5 players would be utterly beaten and dominated, in the final third. They would easily lose the ball. And when Newcastle, were onto us, they were committing numbers. They would come onto us like 7 against 5, 7 against 4, and they could, they could beat us. In midfield, they destroyed it. So, do you think maybe was it panic? Was it the pressure? Were we afraid of losing it rather than trying to win it?
It's the one of 2-1. That is always a mentality problem with Arsenal. I said it right after we beat Leeds. I said we need to go to Tottenham and not lose, because I know when it comes to the last two games, I didn't want us to take us to the last day because I knew we would panic. I just don't know. I think it's a mentality with Arsenal. When you think about Arsenal, that's probably why every rival fan expects us to bottle it on the final day. Just a mentality thing. Because even for us fans, I did not want us to take us to the Everton game because I knew we would panic on the final day. Was it the approach from the manager and the players? Were we planning to keep it at 0-0 then in the second half create a couple of chances?
No, I don't think we were planning to keep it at 0-0. You know why I don't think we were planning to keep it at 0-0?
Yeah.
If we were trying to keep it at 0-0, like conserve the game, preserve the game, we could have matched their efforts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything they did, we would have been equal to the challenge, or we would have tried to be equal to the challenge. That is when you want to live with the team, you want to live with them, you cope with them. In this scenario, it is the same with Spurs. Arsenal is reluctantly waiting for Newcastle's spell, for Newcastle's time with the ball, for Newcastle's domination period to end, right? So that we create our own domination spell. And for Newcastle, they dominated Arsenal for 90 minutes. I think Mikel Arteta did not expect that, right? He didn't expect that. I agree with you. I think he never wanted to commit his players to, throwing themselves into challenges and everything like that. So he wanted to sit back, like wait for the first 20 minutes for the home team to, run out of gas and that kind of zeal. It's always 20 minutes, 25, so that we grow into the game. Boy, we didn't grow in the game. The more time we spent on the pitch, the worse we became, the more disgusting we displayed. And for me, look, the tactics today, Glenn, the tactics on Thursday against Spurs, we are absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. You cannot play like that in two games that can easily be called finals. You cannot play like that. You can't. Honestly, you can't. You either because look, both I think Newcastle and Spurs have this. You would say are the same. The only difference is that Newcastle have a Bruno Guimaraes, who I think is very, very difficult to cope with. But with Newcastle, Joelinton, Alan Saint-Maximin, and Callum Wilson. That can you stop those three? With Spurs, Kulusevski, Son Ken. Can you stop those three? And look at the goal we've conceded, the first goal. How high are we? We are very high, but we are not even in possession. And that's what I don't understand. We are not in possession. We are not pressing to win the ball, but our back four is so high. And if you look at the players that actually, caused us issues, it was 2 Newcastle players against 4 Arsenal players. That is unacceptable. That is wrong. I mean, if it was 2 against 2, I would understand, right? If we're pressing to win the ball back, I would understand. We were doing none of that.
I can give them an out. I can give them an out on that because I said it was our throw-in before that first goal. It was actually our throw-in. The players were pushing forward, and then Tavares made the foul throw, and then it took too much time to get back to our positions. And within 2 passes, they were making 2 passes into our box, just like Wilson's attempt to chip Ramsdale. 1 pass over the top, and they were in. So we were very slow in terms of covering. But that first goal had really put it to Tavares first, and then the positioning of the players. You have to keep your position despite anything, because it's still 0-0. You still have 40 minutes to get a goal. So that was definitely very, very disappointing. And you're very right in terms of the first half. I might say, yes, we are maybe not trying to get a goal. We are trying to keep it at 0-0. But if you check, then we never got anywhere close to them. In the first half, Newcastle attempted 10 dribbles, and they completed 10 dribbles. We did not prevent even one of them. We tried 4 dribbles, we completed 0. They had 100% accuracy in terms of dribbles, we had 0%. There was a time they showed on TV 70% position for them, 30% for us. Nowhere near them. The deals won as well.
That brings out the point I said earlier, that Mikel was waiting for the Newcastle time with the ball to end. because the first 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, the ball possession, Arsenal had around 27, I think. Then, no, Arsenal had around 37 in the first 15. And then, moving on, as we grew into the game, it dropped to 27. That is when I knew that I'm just waiting for a Newcastle goal. And when it came, I was not surprised. It's not the goal that surprises you after that performance from Newcastle.
It's definitely not. It was definitely coming, but obviously there is a part of you that is hoping that you can get one chance and stop.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we came nowhere near. The midfield, as long as you lose the midfield battle, we've always said this: if you lose the midfield battle, you're going to lose the game, because basically you can't defend and you can't attack. And again, today, so many fouls committed from the likes of Odegaard, could not keep position. I think Odegaard, I think, is the one who won the most duels alongside Gabriel. But even if in terms of his numbers, I think he attempted 16 duels and he only won 6. He lost 10 of them. There's a player, I think it was Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe was terrible today, and I absolutely love him.
Yeah.
He had 5 duels to win, and he won 0. He got nowhere near any second balls. It was so easy for the Newcastle players.
And Tomiyasu as well. Tomiyasu came on against Alan San Maxima.
I'm worried about him.
I've not seen Tomiyasu struggle that much against players, but he struggled. He really struggled against Alan San Maxima. And for me, the biggest point in that is, again, goes back to Mikel Arteta and the tactics. The instructions of the team. I mean, there was a time when I said, I think I'll give Mikel Arteta time because I can see what he's trying to do. And right now, that doesn't change. I know what he's going. I know what he's trying to do. I think he's a manager with an ego who goes, "We are Arsenal Football Club, and we dictate what goes on in the game. We will not, at any point in time, sit back and let the opponent dictate as we watch on to catch, to wait and catch them on the break. We want to dictate, right?" And if you look at all the games that we played and lost, whether it's Crystal Palace or Brighton or Spurs, we are not bothered defensively. We are not bothered. We are not trying to fall back into shape. We are playing very openly because we are Arsenal, and that is our identity. I think it's Mikel Arteta's ego, because for me, he knew that if he went against Newcastle and offered them some little respect, they would take it. And we could have used that opportunity to just get to them, and that's what we wanted. So for me, look, honestly, I'm not Mikel Arteta out, at this moment in this video. Even if we don't get top 4, which we are not going to, I'm not Mikel Arteta out. I want to see how he's gonna do in the summer, especially in terms of attracting players without having Champions League. But the tactics today and the tactics against Spurs really let us down.
I did not understand at all. Like, when I told you I wanted us to start the game very quickly, that is why. I knew the more the game went on, that you saw the crowd from even before this game started. The crowd was pumped up, so I knew it was going to be hard. Start the game and play the game the first 10 minutes quickly. You need to put them under pressure. And what you need to do, give the ball. How many times in the first half, how many times do you give the ball to Saka? Twice. And Saka had a shot and we got a corner from one. Every time Saka got the ball in the first half, he got it like twice. We created something when you gave it to Saka, and we never did it again in the first half or in the second half. Every time it was Ramsdale trying to pass it to Ben White, back to Ramsdale again, and then we put ourselves under pressure again, playing slow football. The only good thing I saw from the first half was when Xhaka was given the ball and he turned very well and we opened up space and we were on the attack. But even after that, nothing else. Every second ball, the tactics, obviously when you're up against people like Hazard, Saint Maximin, Ronaldinho, Son, whoever you want to mention on the left side, you have to know how to cover with them. You cannot leave Tomiyasu by himself. It was a shambles of a performance from Tomiyasu, but anyone you put up against Zaha or Saint Maximin, 95% of them will struggle. So that's why you need to have a second tactic. Is Saka going to come back and help him in defending? Is El Neni going to come across and come and help him? If you leave him by himself, and another thing is that he's not even 100% fit, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And that is another thing that is worrying me about him. our best players, Partey and Tierney, are injury prone. I was really hoping
Actually,
Tomiyasu was not, and this is the fourth time he's going off.
Yeah. Actually, the point here, lads, and I think you've just summarized the season and the game and why we have not gone to Champions League. The reason is Thomas Partey. Partey is the reason as to why Arsenal are out of the UEFA Champions League. I mean, any Arsenal fan that loves Partey is going to say, Kosi, what are you saying? How dare you say that? I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that to remind you that we had a chance to bring in players in January. We had a chance to cover for Thomas Partey, and we had a win because I was listening. I was watching Ligue 1 in the summer, and he said something very interesting. Of course, Ligue 1 is dubbed toxic, right? But he said something very interesting. He said, do you know that if Partey gets out of that lineup, we are back to the old Arsenal? You know? And when Partey, when Partey got injured, we had Xhaka and Elneny. That is an Arsene Wenger midfield, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, that's an Arsene Wenger midfield. So look, this team cannot deal without Partey. And the first signing for me now in the summer is get someone who gives you what Partey gives you. That's it. Because Partey plays alone in that midfield pivot, and then he just allows Odegaard. Odegaard has been really, really, really awful in the past games, and the reason is Partey just gives him that kind of elevation, that kind of platform for him to hold his head above water. And the moment Partey goes away, the likes of Mohamed Elneny are good players, but what is good about them is the work ethic, right? Their work ethic is so good. Their discipline is so good. Arsene Wenger talked about him as a leader who is silent because he does things right. And today, I looked at him passing the ball around. But most of the times, he's afraid to make that pass that makes a difference. At times, I don't know if he's afraid or he doesn't have the ability, but he doesn't make that pass. He's always going to play the simple pass. If you look at Partey, Partey is the reason that's why Saka is always involved in the game, because when the midfield is compact, he gives Saka the ball, and Saka is able to isolate players on one-on-one. In the recent games, Saka is doing nothing, because by the time we give him the ball, four or five players are already crowding around him. Right? By the time we give him the ball, the players know what we are going to do, and three players are already rounding him up, and he does nothing. So Partey, that pivot, if you're going to play that pivot, you need to be like Sergio Busquets, because Busquets literally plays every game. And that is what Arteta is trying to do. He wants someone like Busquets. He wants someone like Rodri. He wants someone like Fernandinho. Someone who passes the ball, someone who is reliable. Oh my God, I wish Partey was here. But the first question there, I'm going to ask you the other, is apart from the manager, right? Because the manager got it wrong. And we have to agree. Today, no blaming the referee.
I actually don't think he got it wrong in terms of the lineup. Maybe the setup.
No, yeah, the lineup is absolutely correct. The lineup is absolutely correct. Yeah, but for me, why I think he got it wrong there is with White and Gabriel coming back, why not just play Tomiyasu as well in a three, right? And then of course, that three is cover for the mistakes that Nuno Tavares is going to commit, and is also cover for Cedric as a liability, because these two, when they are on the pitch, they add you numbers defensively, but they are at times they could be a liability. So I thought we could have played the back five, try to make sure that we get the basics right, try to make sure that the first priority was not to concede. And look, we conceded later in the game, but the truth is that we conceded earlier. It was a game where Newcastle played as if they were as if they were 2-0 up. They had the ball. It was like they had been motivated by a goal. So I thought with Mikel that's wrong. But how did you feel when you looked at these men trying to play football in a final like game, but showing no fight? Because that is why I was banging my table. That was why I was squeezing my pillow. I was trying to say we can win that ball, and Newcastle win it. We can win that one and Newcastle win it. When the headers are brought in and Newcastle head it away, then the player who was winning it at the edge of their box was Callum Wilson, right? That should be Mohamed El Neni. That should be Saka. That should be anyone. We were not winning the first and second. I mean, what did you feel? What did it feel like to be in a final where you're playing as if it's the opening day of the opening game of the season?
Now, that's where experience comes in. We have no leaders on the pitch and we have no experience on the pitch. Sometimes you don't even have to look at the manager. By the way, Chinedu, no one is blaming the manager. When you come on the pitch, you can actually make your own decisions by yourself. It was for me, it was very simple. Just get the ball to Saka on that right side as quickly as you can. And
as quickly as
we
you can.
We were playing at the back and Ramsdale almost made a mistake. And before you knew it, obviously Newcastle are going to be pumped up. It's their last home game. Everyone is trying to get a new contract to be there next season. Obviously, they're going to pressure you. And the way we are playing, you're very right. It's like it's the beginning of the season, or actually the end of the season, and top four is already clinched. So you can just pass the ball around. But it was very, very disappointing. The fact that no one turned up. But the truth is that's where experience comes out. And we have too many young players on the pitch and there was no one to lead them. That is the actual truth. We should have done something in January and we didn't. We have a very young team and it has cost us at the end of the day.
Yeah. So look, anyone who is going to come to me by me saying that the manager got it wrong, I'm not saying Arteta here is not good enough for the team. That's different. That's a different story. I think where we are, by the way, we are lucky to have him, because Antonio Conte looks at that. He's going to ask 300 million from you right away, in the board meeting, and then you start stammering, and he's going to say, I'm walking out. Because honestly, as a manager, I looked at him on the bench and I saw those substitutions, those desperate substitutions that he was trying to make. Of course, they were never going to mean anything, because Lacazette, putting off Nketiah, putting on Nuno Tavares and bringing Lacazette, and then Pepe, they were not going to do anything. But I saw him desperately hurt. So let's go back to January, Glenn, because it has played a part. It has played a huge part. Do you think one or two signings in January take us to top four? And those two signings being Dejan Kulusevski, who I can find that video on this channel. I can find those videos on this channel where I talked about Kulusevski being wanted by Arsenal for 35 mil. I can talk about those. I can bring out those videos where Arsenal were tracking Bruno Guimaraes in January. Does Bruno Guimaraes and Dejan Kulusevski, do they win us the top four race?
I think it does, because this is a 1 point, 2 point thing. It's not like a 10-point thing. It's just a one game where maybe they would have won us the Southampton game and you'd have been there. Just one game. That's all we needed to win. Yeah. Definitely. Right now, we are definitely struggling with squad depth. I think, by the way, because I've lost all trust in Pepe, by the way. I know people will still say he doesn't get too many opportunities to play. But again, I feel like I used to feel about El Neni coming on and such kind of players. I don't feel like anything is going to change when Pepe comes on. That is the painful truth. And looking at our bench, that's January. I don't even think we would have just have gotten top four. We very probably even have gotten the final of the Carabao Cup. We probably would have beaten Liverpool, because we actually drew with them with 10 men. And then in the second game, they had players like Jota. We didn't have anyone on the bench. Looking at our squad, that time, we had like 7, 8 youngsters on the bench in January and February because we had not bought players. It was absolutely astonishing to see that January transfer window closing and we didn't buy even one player. Yes, we only had the Premier League challenge for, but what if the injuries happen? And they happen. Tierney and Partey. Yes, we trusted Tavares. There's a time Tavares was almost kicking out Tierney from the team. There's a time around September, October, he was playing. And we were like, wow, Tavares is a good player. But when he got to January, you could tell that he was not ready at all. And Tierney getting injured, Tavares coming in, you don't trust him. Tomiyasu getting injured at the very wrong time. Cedric, his time is done here. Partey getting injured. I think El Neni has done good. I don't think he's done terrible. I think since he came, he's done okay.
No, El Neni's done okay. El Neni's done okay. The truth is that, the truth is that, okay does not push you over the cliff. That's the reason. Okay does not push you over the cliff. He's done okay. He's an okay player, right? just as I think who else? Just as Rob Holding, right? Just as Ban Leno. They're okay players, but they don't kick you over the cliff. They will try to push you. They don't get you over, and they don't you cannot maximize your potential with okay players. It's the debate that we will have probably tomorrow or another day when we talk about Mohamed Elneny's contract. He's okay, right? He's okay. But does okay take you to the next level, right? No, he doesn't. Because where we bring him on, City bring on Fernandinho, who will be leaving, and they'll be bringing in someone else, okay? So, and you can see the difference between Fernandinho and Elneny, both when it comes to experience, when it comes to talent, when it comes to quality, and things like that. When you look at Liverpool, when Fabinho doesn't play, Keita plays, right? Alongside Thiago Alcantara and Henderson. I think those players are not just okay. And that is what these teams have done. Fabinho is not 60 million, and Keita is around 40, 50 million, right? What they've done is they have said, okay, we had some players like Lallana. Lallana is okay, right? But okay does not take us anywhere. Okay does not win a quadruple. It doesn't.
Chan as well. Yeah.
The next Emre Chan. We are up front. We have Salah. We have Salah, Mane, and Roberto Firmino. But we also have Origi. But Origi is okay, right? Yes, he can win. Can score a win against Everton and Wolves. But Luis Diaz is the class that we need. Diogo Jota is the class that we need, because Jota scores 17 goals and Origi scores 2. And those 2 Origi goals win you 6 points. The Jota goals will win you more than 20 points in a campaign. So for me, the okay players also need to go. I mean, they just need to go. I mean, we need to start replacing. Fabrizio talked about it when he was talking about our transfer strategy, and he was saying that Arsenal are starting to think about smart signings. I think that is where we need to go now. That is where we need to go. So, lads, we have to agree or disagree. January has come back to bite us. January has come to bite us in the back. There is no question there. Two signings in January, they change our season. I'm telling you, they change, because Dejan Kulusevski, for me, he's involved himself in 3. He has scored 3 goals and assisted 12 times, I think. That's around. That's around. That is 15 goal involvement since signing in January, right?
Yeah.
And for the likes of Rodrigo Bentancur, I cannot say a word. The likes of Bruno Guimaraes and the qualities brought to Newcastle, I cannot say a word. So, we've created our own problem. But the optimistic part of the podcast, here we are, because we ask the fans. Do you think there is a chance for Spurs to bottle it on deadline day? Because they've always bottled the end season of the business. They've always bottled it. Not with Conte, though. I think they have a manager that can see them through. But do you think there is an opportunity that they bottle it and we beat Everton and we go through? Because that is the smallest of windows.
We'll probably beat Everton now that we probably won't get top 4. No, don't be shocked if we win that game 4-0. Don't be shocked at all. But Norwich, Tottenham, you have to be very optimistic to think Norwich are going to beat Tottenham. Norwich are the worst team, not the second worst or the third worst, the worst team in the league. I can't even see them winning the championship next season. They are so bad overall, like everywhere. Like I have seen Son getting a hat-trick in that game. The other thing you would have probably have said is a draw, maybe. And the only way a draw would have helped us is if we drew today our game. But we've lost and we need them to lose. There's no chance Norwich beats them. And you're very right in terms of the okay players. I mean, probably all of you watching this, everyone was shocked at how, maybe 95% of you are shocked by how good Nketiah did in Chelsea United games and those kind of games. Because, of course, he's an okay player. I've also been shocked by how Elneny has helped us in this kind of games, but he's an okay player. Even Holding, some games has come on, like the West Ham game, he was exceptional. Like, we were shocked because he's an okay player. But when you start depending on such kind of players to get you top 4, you don't have squad depth. And we definitely needed someone in January because there is no way we can go into the final third. Even though they've done okay, as I say, we keep on repeating, there's no way you can depend on these guys for 12 games. El Neni, alongside Xhaka in midfield, Holding, Nketiah, Lacazette. All these players, by this, 95% of them have not even signed a contract. They won't even be here next season, probably. Nketiah, Lacazette, all these players. Nketiah could probably end up signing a new contract, but we definitely made a mistake not signing anyone in January. Is it making me mad that we haven't gotten top 4? No. Is it making me sad? Yes. We did a show with Kozi in August, and we were predicting which position Arsenal are going to finish, and both of us said 5th. And that is where we are right now. Yes, we got into 4th. The reason why it hurts is because we didn't sign anyone in January when we had to. We had players at the African Cup of Nations. We were in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. We were in the FA Cup. We don't know what would happen if we sign players. Also, obviously, we've left it for Tottenham. That's another thing that hurts. If it was like Liverpool finishing 4th instead of Tottenham, it wouldn't really hurt that bad. But we know how much that could damage you. Now, Harry Kane could end up signing a new contract because we've left them to finish in the top 4. That's how much it could hurt us. Also, no European football. The whole season we've not had any European football. The other teams have had European football. So we had a whole week to rest every single week, and we still didn't get top 4. All those reasons is why we are going to be sad, and some people would be mad. And another thing, the final thing is, before we went to the last international break, we were 6 points ahead of Tottenham. And I was so happy because after those wins against Aston Villa away and those 2 wins against Wolves, I was so happy. I actually thought we were definitely going to get top 4 because those are teams we never beat. And the way I saw Arsenal going away to Aston Villa, going away to Wolves and winning those games 1-0 and showing determination, defending so well, I was really hopeful. Now, where it all went wrong is obviously Southampton, Crystal Palace, Brighton.
Yeah,
we just needed one win.
Yeah, that is the time. That is the time. That is the time.
I can't believe we just bottled it with those 3 games. Those are the teams that cost.
Yeah, that is time. And you know, it goes back to what we've been singing all season. The difference between Spurs and Arsenal is not the quality of the players. It's the manager. Trust me, if we were the one with Conte, right, there is no way we would have gone and just spread ourselves as if, we have nothing to lose and, concede all those many goals. If we had, if you had a manager who's lived through this period, because we look, I don't blame Mikel because this is his first time. He's going to learn, and to some extent, we'll be proud of him in these moments. But if you had a manager, if we at any point in time, if we had a manager who had lived through these moments, who knew, and this is what Arsene Wenger was doing. He reached a time when he had become a top 4 specialist. You could not beat him if you're in that race. It was so difficult. It was very difficult to beat him in that top race. It took some time, and he was no longer challenging, but he was just finishing in the top 4, just doing that, because he knew what to do and he knew what it takes. Our problem is Mikel is looking at this, and it's a very, very new phenomenon. It reminds me of the semi-final we played against Villarreal. And we played as if we were playing Norwich, right? And Villarreal played like they played as if they had already reached the final, right? They played as if they were winning it that evening. And when they went to the final, it was not different, and they won it. So probably, these are the consequences that come with a young manager. You have to give him time to develop, and because the team is also young, so he just needs to motivate them and everything like that. But do you think we have overachieved? Because there is also that point that these players, however much they want to go to Champions League, and I don't want to say these players have let us down because they don't care. They care. It's a team that I cannot accuse of being emotionally detached from the fans and the ambitions the fans have. we share we share the ambition, and I can see that they're emotionally attached. So do you think, because Vinay came out and said we have overachieved going to the Champions League top four, we have overachieved. So do you think probably, I mean, the lack of ambition and, I mean, the fact that we reached the goals that had been planned for this season is one of the reasons probably Mikel didn't get signings in January.
I mean, I definitely think, I actually think we've had a good season.
Very good.
I actually think we've had a good season being in this position at the moment.
Yeah, I would call it.
It's only hurts.
I would call it a decorated season. I would definitely call it a decorated season.
The only reason why it hurts is because of how we are going to lose top four, because we had it there. You just needed one win against Brighton or Southampton to get it. But if you look at the overall season and you just ignore, obviously, this last 2 weeks and stuff, we've had a good season. Like, we were all happy with all the new signings. Like, I believe overall in the whole season, Ramsdale has done well. He's done well, better than anyone expected. I think Tomiyasu done well, but obviously the injuries have come, and obviously I was actually going to give Tomiyasu an 8 out of 10 in terms of overall seasons, but obviously he got the injury, and then now that could easily drop to a 6 because he's not been here. I think players like Odegaard have done well. I preferred Maddison instead of Odegaard, but I think Odegaard has done well. Lokonga and Tavares started well, but obviously as the season has gone by, we've realized that they're very young, and you can't just add more young players to more young players. In terms of players, I think we've done well in terms of the signings, and the players have done well. And also in terms of winning those games that no one expects us to win, like United, Chelsea, West Ham away, Wolves away, Leicester away, Aston Villa away. We've done so well to get into this position. And that is why I really wanted these players to get a reward for it. I really wanted them to get that top four, to feel rewarded, because right now, to the fans and to critics and everything, it's going to look like Arsenal have failed. But listening to some pundits who are not, who don't hate Arsenal and stuff, they're all saying they expected Arsenal to finish 5th or 6th, not 4th. That is the truth. None of us expected us to finish 4th. But obviously, there's other factors you can look at. Arsenal didn't have Champions League football. Other teams had it, all that, and we had space to rest the whole week. We could have, we bottled it for ourselves. Let's just say that. We should have signed someone in January, and you'd have done it. But in terms of players, I don't think I'd say Ramsdale has cost us top 4 or Tomiyasu. I think they've done very well. I think Gabriel has had a good season. I know people would hate White because he scored an own goal and because he's made a couple of mistakes, but I think I'd still give him a way above average in terms of this season. Like also in terms of clean sheets.
He's actually been a very, very good defender in terms of statistics. Statistically, he's been a very, very solid man.
Yeah. I mean, all those players, they've done so well. So if you look at the season overall, we've definitely overachieved. But right now, it feels different. If we were the ones chasing Tottenham and Tottenham didn't lose, that would have been okay. But since we were there, we literally only needed a draw at Tottenham. And the way we've lost it, that holding red card, that Cedric giving away the penalty today, because the first goal came from a foul throw. Tavares made a foul throw, and that gifted Newcastle the goal. Like if you start thinking of it like that, then we've definitely bottled it. There's no way you can throw away a goal like that because you made a foul throw. You have to be 100% knowing what you're doing. You cannot do that. That's not the way to lose top 4 on the final day. So in terms of the season, I'd still say I'm happy with the season, but obviously I'd be sad because we had it right there, and I would have loved to see these players in the Champions League.
Yeah. I mean, personally, everybody knows on this channel, I mean, during nighttime, many of the viewers are new, but many people know that I want Champions League. I want Champions League to attract Champions League quality. And let me tell you this is going to massively affect how we recruit and who we recruit. It's going to massively affect that, because now you're going to look at we have automatically put ourselves out of debates concerning any player whose team is in the UEFA Champions League, unless they support us like Thomas Partey. But if it's not that, Victor Osimhen, would Napoli have finished 4th, right? In the Italian Serie A. Darwin Núñez is being looked at by Bayern and United and Atletico Madrid. Gabriel Jesus is now on the line as well, because look, his agents have already said it's a good project, we love it, and if they get Champions League, it's going to be we will consider that. And now we've just made our life difficult, because it's 1 week now. To be honest, it's 1 week away. After this week, it's going to be transfers, and we've just made it hard. But anyway,
It's hurting us as well, yeah. And
yeah,
another reason I wanted us to get top 4 is because I wanted us to spoil for United and Tottenham, as I said. Like, if United don't get top 4, maybe the likes of Ronaldo could leave. Maybe that could happen. If we got Tottenham top 4 instead of Tottenham, maybe it could actually make them get some pain, obviously, in terms of Kane leaving and not accepting a new contract. But yeah, now they're the ones who are doing that to us. You will not be surprised if you start hearing players being teams being linked to the likes of Martinelli. So it's all about going for it again. If you don't get top 4, which 95% we won't get, if you don't get it, we do it again. Can we get another Tomiyasu who's not injury prone this time? Can we add another Odegaard to the team, maybe even better? Can we add another Ramsdale, but even better in the team? I still want Ramsdale to be our goalkeeper next season.
And my problem with that is we had a chance to like cheat. I mean, Champions League is a cheat code, right?
Yeah.
You cheat. You cheat your way to the best quality players in the land, in the world. Yeah. You cheat your way. Now, no respect. I love Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I won't be surprised if Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the player that lands, right? Because it's gonna be the one available. Honestly, yeah.
I won't
be. I won't be surprised if Arsenal brought in Memphis Depay, a reject from Barca, because they're the ones that are going to be available to us, and for me that is that is very bad. But anyway, we're gonna be doing the player ratings as well, so make sure you join us, hit the like button, and also subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us. We are always here on a daily basis discussing Arsenal opinions, news, transfers, reactions, and previews. However much everything doesn't always go as planned. So basically, for me, about the game, that's it. I don't see anything else. I don't think anything else. It's a bad display. We should have done better. Everybody knows that. Arsenal should be doing better than this. We should have done better. And unless we get, unless we get a method of going through, you don't want to be like Chelsea, losing final after final. We don't. You don't want to be like United under Solskjaer, losing semi-final after semi-final. We need to find a way of getting our confidence together and start winning games. We need to start winning important games, right? The Arsenal that displayed against Liverpool this season is a very different Arsenal that we've from what we've seen today. We've seen our Arsenal that is not willing to try. That I thought we'd never see that Arsenal again. An Arsenal that is not willing to try, I thought we'd never see it again. Honestly, I thought we'd never see it again, Glenn.
Scared Arsenal. A scared Arsenal. Like,
I scared Arsenal.
I still can't believe that you can go and beat West Ham, Chelsea, Man United. You go and draw with Liverpool with 10 men at their place. You win all these big games, Wolves away, Leicester away, and the ones that you thought you were going to win, Brighton at home. You can lose one. Sometimes you can lose at home to Brighton one game, and they're like, oh, even Liverpool does lose to this team sometimes. You're like, wow, they've lost. City drew with Southampton.
Yeah.
But when you do it twice, then against Crystal Palace, and then we do it again against Southampton, and then we do it again against Newcastle, that's too many times. So there's still a lot to improve on, but it's unacceptable the way we've done it. We were so close to getting it.
Humphrey says Tavares should also go. We need a ruthless and more demanding manager. All right, Tavares should also go. I think Tavares will develop. I see a player in there. But however, the problems are many to work on, and he's very raw. He's very
rash. Very rash.
Yeah. I mean, you can't commit those mistakes. You can't keep on. And it looks like he's not even learning from the mistakes. It looks like he's not learning from the mistakes. That's my problem with him. But Ben White was a waste of money. I really don't believe he's a footballer, but I prefer Saliba.
No, I definitely don't agree with that.
That is where I think it's harsh, honestly. That is where I think it's harsh.
I don't think Ben White has been a bad signing. I do not think Ben White has been a good signing. Things have gone wrong at the end of the season. Do you know how good we played in defense, like especially between November and March?
Actually, I think Ben White has been, I mean, statistically, he's been a better player than Gabriel. I think Gabriel has been so good in terms of organizing the defense and leading it. And I love him. But statistically, he's been a better player, far better player. Just try anyone, just go to your phone and tap SofaScore and compare those two players, Gabriel and Ben White on SofaScore. You will see he's had a better season. Gabriel, for me, if you ask me, top 10 top 10 defenders this season, Van Dijk, Matip, Ruben, is it Diaz or Ruben Diaz? But among those top 10, I'll talk about Ben White. I think he's been okay. I think he's
I
been
think
good.
yes, Humphrey is definitely not worth 50 million. There's no one who's refusing. You shouldn't have paid 50 million and 60 million for these players.
Yeah.
But in terms of the entire season, he's not been a bad player. Come on. If you look at those statistics, you say not even just statistics, if you just watch the game as well. Obviously, don't listen to the Phil Nevilles and the Gary Nevilles and the Michael Lawrence talking about these players. They're not saying anything nice about Arsenal.
Yeah.
And don't listen to the opposition fans. They'll wait for Ben White to make one mistake and start saying terrible things about him. But if you look at the whole season in general, yes, Ben White has made 3 or 4 errors leading to goals, but there's a lot of things that have done well. Yes, that's why now the young players need to improve the things they don't have. But I believe he does have 70%. Maybe you can add on that 30%. There's so much. Like, he can play many games in a season. He can be consistent. Yes, he can. He has the pacing behind. Maybe sometimes he does make a couple of errors, but there's a lot of good things with him. Discipline is one of them. Like, yes, he picked up a yellow card today, but just go and check how many yellow cards he's picked up. So many of our players have picked up red cards this season. Ben White has only picked up like 2 yellow cards. Like, there's so much to look at. And maybe they're too young, all of them. Maybe that's why they needed someone experienced next to them. Maybe we've had too many young players, but I don't think you can say Ben White is a waste of money. That's when it comes to overreacting.
Yeah. Anu says no way Tottenham is going to the UEFA Champions League. I mean, I wish you're right, bro. I wish you're right. January hunt us back. I'm so depressed. Definitely, bro. Definitely. Thank you so much. I know. And it says the reason why I'm angry at Arteta is that he was once a player who knows injury comes anytime, and then he and Edu refused to bring in at least 2 players in January. For me, Arteta, there's so many decisions that Arteta doesn't run away with. Honestly, we've long lost the top 4 spot the moment Partey had that injury. I don't think fans understand Arsenal was only in the top 4 battle because Tottenham and United had managers who wasn't good enough. Arsenal finishing 5th is a great for a start, and a rebuild for Mikel Arteta. I think he has a point there. I think he has a point.
There's some truth in that, but we still won 21 games this season, so we've still done good for ourselves. But we've lost too many, obviously. We've lost too many. 13 is too many.
Yeah. So, look, I think United fans will feel a little bit more depressed because they finished second last season. So they'll feel like that. But honestly, in the end, I think we've been a good team. We can. I mean, I don't think it's a season where I can rate where I will say 4 out of 10 because of ABC. No, it's been a good season.
And I'll agree with Michael. I think on this game, no one to blame, but we lacked experience. That is the truth. Now it's up to us now. Stop overreacting. Yes, I'm very sad that we didn't get to. Oh my goodness, I was looking forward to playing on Tuesday and Wednesday. I didn't even care if we were going to get smashed 15 goals by Bayern, but just that experience for the young players, it would have been so nice for our players to experience that. Then after that what you need to get back to the Champions League the next season again. But now since that has happened, well, we just have to see what you can do next season. But I'm not angry at all. I'm just sad that you didn't get it, and obviously Tottenham got it ahead of us.
Yeah. Right. Let's do some player ratings and then we call it a show. Let's start off with the goalkeeper, honestly. I thought Ramsdale did keep us in the game. And of course we were never gonna come back in the game. I think he didn't know. But he kept us in the game, a few decent saves. here and there, especially in the first half. That save against Alan Saint Maxima
Yeah.
kept it at 0-0. Even in the second half, I thought Newcastle could have made it 5, could have easily made it 6, because they were getting the chances. Not They were not coming, frequently, but when they came, they were good chances. So Ramsdale, how would you rate him?
He made a couple of very good saves. Was it one from Saint Maximin, that shot in the first half? That was a very, very
Yeah,
good save
yeah,
from Ramsdale. And there's another one in the second half where he saved from, was it Gale? Gale, when he came on, could have been 3-0. But he disappointed me a lot in some areas. When you're fighting for top 4 on the final day like that, you cannot start playing with the ball at the back like that. We could have considered a goal in the first 5 minutes because of that. Just kick the ball up, just do it. And then there's a couple of times again the long balls are a bit too all over the place again. And obviously
yeah.
that shot, that I don't know if he should have saved that when Wilson went through, because it literally hit him and it went to Bruno Guimaraes and he scored. And also in the first half, there's another save he made and then it went behind. And White had play on the pitch today. In fact, I actually think he could be our best player today, if I'm not wrong. He made 3 saves. He had 1 punch. Sometimes from the corners, I think we'll gave away so many corners today. I think it was almost like 15 or something crazy like that. So many corners. He did well.
I mean, many of them were just, I don't know. I did feel, for me, but the reason is that we were not committing. We were not committing to win the ball back. We were never committing. We were literally just going in there for the sake, right? Just consider a corner and let us defend.
So I think he did the organizing well in terms of that. But even in the second half, there's a time where he dropped the ball and we almost conceded. So I think it was a 50-50 performance. But I think he was probably our second best player today, or even our best player, and that is saying something. So I mean, he's been our best player a lot this season, to be fair. So I have no problem with Ramsdale. Ramsdale, in terms of even the overall ratings, which we'll do at the end of the season, I think he'll be amongst the top 3. So for today, we considered 2 goals, where he made a couple of crucial saves. It's going to be 4 or 5. So I'm going to give him a 6. I think he's our best player.
Yeah, I think 6. I think is fair. I don't blame him for any of the goals. Honestly, we should be clearing our lines. That's it. We should be clearing our lines. And the moment you don't do that, some of those goals, you don't blame the goalkeeper. Cedric did come on for Tomiyasu and offered nothing offensive wise. That is the truth, because no player offered anything offensive wise today. I mean, how would you, because defensively, it's hard to judge him as a player for me, especially because I don't feel he's good enough. But anyway, do you feel he was a little bit better?
I mean, when he came on, obviously we were all scared. I knew it was going to be a tough one against Saint Maximin. They even showed him when he came on. They knew it's going to be a hard one for him. He had 3 duels today, and he won all 3 of them. I don't think he was a shambles today like he's been a couple of games before. He's accurate in terms of accuracy in passes was 90%. He had 38 touches. He didn't have any key passes. I think his corners were okay. I think his corners were okay today, but he didn't get to the end of it. But that first goal, even though it was Tavares foul through, where was he? Because that is where St. Maximin literally gave the ball to Joe Linton. Where was he for that cross? So you have to ask yourself that. So he was on. I mean, he didn't get damaged by St. Maximin like the way we expected. So I am going to. Man, this is a hard one. I'm just going to give him a 5, to be fair.
5. Yeah. I mean, I would take that. Nuno Tavares, again, kind of disaster. I mean, he's done a couple of them this season against Manchester United, against Liverpool. Again now, how would you rate him, Tavares?
He lost the ball 10 times today. He made 2 clearances. He was actually dribbled past once, like a player passing him. He lost out to that only once today. But Tavares, first of all, you cannot foul throw. It's like Bellerin 2.2 again. We thought we got rid of that after getting rid of Bellerin. You cannot make a foul throw that leads to a goal. You cannot do that at all. And then, as you said, he's very raw. He's very rash. Like, Sometimes he shoots the ball when you thought he's supposed to pass the ball. Sometimes he just runs to the right when he's supposed to be running to the left. Sometimes he goes and collides with his own teammate. Like he's all over the place. Like attacking wise today, didn't see anything. Accurate in terms of passing, 66, just 60%, very, very low. I mean, yes, people say some people are saying he's supposed to be so, but as they said again, he's very young. He shouldn't be starting for us. That's the problem. Like Tierney getting injured, yes, kind of expect it, but he got injured at a very wrong time. At the business end of the season, we really needed Tierney. We didn't need Tavares to come into the team. I think Tavares had already done enough back in September and October. We didn't even expect him to feature in more than 10 games. So depending on him right now, it's a bit too much. So you cannot do that, Tavares. I'm going to give him a 3.
Tavares gets a 3. The two center backs, Ben White and Gabriel. I think Newcastle were all over us. The midfield was porous. I think they stood their ground, but they could only stand. They could only stand for so long.
In the one goal, I know people are blaming him for that. I'm going to ask first where were the right winger and the right back before that cross came in. I don't, even if White didn't clear it, Wilson would have scored that probably.
Yeah.
I even thought it was his goal. But in the first 10 minutes of that game, oh my goodness, Wilson absolutely ran them ragged. Like I could not believe it. Like he looked 10 times faster than Gabriel. I was shocked. The way he was just easily running past him, and I did not expect that from Gabriel and White because they're not slow defenders like Mertesacker back in the day. But Wilson, who's just come back from an injury, he was so easily running past them. But then again, I don't think they were the worst players in the game. I think Ben White and Gabriel were better than the fullbacks today. So for I was just astonished by how Wilson absolutely dominated them. Wilson got so many chances for my liking, and those are two defenders up against one, so that is definitely going to hit them in terms of the player ratings. Any other thing? I think in terms of corners and free kicks, we've dealt with them well. There's a couple of blocks White and Gabriel put in, but attacking wise, again, passing a couple of poor passes. I'm going to give both of them a 5. I think we allowed Wilson too many shots, and we ended up conceding 2 goals. And White scored an own goal. I don't think you can do anything about that. I think Wilson will still have scored.
Yeah, and I think you give a lot of credit to Eddie Howe because he's a brilliant manager. That decision to drop Chris Wood and go with Callum Wilson, because Chris Wood is easy to keep out of the game. Callum Wilson is so hard to keep out of the game.
I'm going to give a lot of credit to Cozy as well. Cozy did say it in the match preview. I told him I'm afraid of Wood because of the corners and the free kicks, because recently you've conceded from a couple of corners. And you said Wilson, you're scared of Wilson more. And he ran us ragged, man.
Wilson is like a Gabriel Jesus. I mean, you have to limit him, but you can only limit him for so long, right? Because there's a lot he can do. He literally can become a number 10. He can become a false 9. He can become a winger either way, and he will hurt you. Xhaka.
Tomiyasu, I think I forgot Tomiyasu.
I forgot Tomiyasu.
Yeah. Tomiyasu, what would we give Tomiyasu? I mean, as I said, Zaha.
Worst performance of the season. That is Tomiyasu's worst performance of the season. We can't hide that away. Worst performance of the season. I would give him a 3. I would give him a 3 for attendance, but no. If he played,
I think he's had 2 bad games. He's had 2 bad games this season. This one and the one he was up against Cucurella against Brighton. He really struggled as well. But as I said, Saint Maximin and Zaha, that is what they do to everyone. So I usually take that into consideration. If we put up one Bissaka against Saint Maximin right now, the same will happen. If we bring Trent Alexander-Arnold, the same will happen right now. But it was he allowed him. There's some basics. You can't allow him to turn back to his right foot. Saint Maximin, we allowed that too many times today. That is so basic. I think in terms of aerial balls, he did well. There's a couple of crosses that came in and he cleared. I was like, this is why we needed him on that side. And I think Cedric would have been ripped up more in those first 30 minutes. To be fair, I think Tomiyasu gives you the sense of security, but what up there with one of his worst performances, if not the worst this season. So I don't know what you're going to give him.
I gave him a 3. I'll just give him a 3. Yeah.
I'm going to agree with him, and I'm very worried about the injuries, man. Every single day.
Xhaka Xhaka, first and foremost. I mean, Xhaka is unlucky because this happens when we are going into a transfer window in a season where he's been where he's been very, very decent. Xhaka today showed us that if you don't have Partey, if Elneny doesn't play well, it's over. And why I don't really, I'm not on the side that supports Xhaka. Even if you played in a single pivot, even if you played a player in a very, very good single, who is a very good single pivoter, like Partey, that means that Xhaka takes up the creative role on the left, and then Odegaard takes up the creative role on the right. So both of them play slightly, actually, not slightly, but really ahead of Partey. And you can see that Xhaka really doesn't have any output there. People are praising Xhaka because of two things. One, limited errors because he's playing far away from areas of pressure, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is because of his passing accuracy. And of course, that is one of the very, very strong things that he has, passing accuracy. But for me, Xhaka, the moment we get someone who can just give us something very different on that left-hand side of the midfield, everyone will understand why Xhaka just needed to give way. He's just blocking someone who can give us better.
The truth is, he's been here for too long. He's been here for too long, but he's not had a terrible season. Like there's some things that how many red cards? He still picked up 2 red cards, so that is a good season for Xhaka. 2 red cards is a good season for him. First of all, you need to remove a couple of points We need to first remove a couple of points from his player ratings because he will be back. We need to remove a couple of points from his player ratings because of obviously the yellow cards. I do not like every time Xhaka does that. Every single time. At the end of the game, he did it against Tottenham. There's no need of picking up those yellow cards and red cards because he put your team under pressure. Even though if it's at the end of the game, you cannot do that in the middle there. You cannot do that at all. Today, Kosi has spoken about his passing accuracy. He actually completed 85% today. In terms of long balls, he completed 5 out of 5. He did not make any mistakes at all. It was 5 out of 5. He only managed to win 4 out of his 7 ground duels. But surprisingly, some people have actually given him man of the match today, but I don't think he's as good as man of the match today. So they will still definitely need something better there, as Kozia said, we definitely need someone better there. But I am going to give him...
Some people have given Xhaka man of the match today.
Yeah, even Sofasco has given him man of the match for our team. It's crazy. It's crazy, unbelievable.
And it's one of the upside level. It describes how
accurate. Yeah. So there's a turn he did in the first half where he took the pressure away from us right away. I definitely love that, but the final pass again is always poor. So I'm going to give him a 5. I'm going to give him a 5. I don't think he was the worst player.
All right. Mohamed Elneny in this game. Elneny, my problem with Mo Elneny is that as a player who plays in the pivot, there is so much for you to do, but he offers so little. That's it. He always hides into that center back role. The moment we are under pressure, falls deep. He plays so deep that when the team needs that kind of outlet, when we need to get out, he's not there. And that's why you see that players like Battered Odegaard will fall so deep, and creative-wise, we are always beaten. But I don't think again it's a bad. He had a bad game. He was trying to battle it out. I saw a couple of blocks from him. but he should have done better in terms of making sure that we win those midfield battles, that we create something.
Yeah, when you watch the likes of Bellingham, Gavi, those kind of players from Barcelona and Dortmund, Bayern, those players are, rice with meat and a bit of vegetables with salt and maybe even whichever sauce you want, a bit of chili sauce. Now, El Neni is just the rice and the meat without any of that. No salt, nothing. He'll just give you the basics. No additional stuff at all. So he'll not really, in terms of pleasing you, he'll not please you. But again, today, as you said, it's unbelievable that if El Neni doesn't play well, we lose the game so badly. We'll talk about his contract sometime before the end of the season, after the end of the season. But today, very, very poor. We got dominated, man, so badly. Bruno Guimaraes got a goal. Joelinton got an assist. Those two midfielders in the middle, that cannot be allowed. Where were our players? Where were our players, our midfield? They cannot be dominated like that. And I usually expect better when we have two players playing in the middle. So, I mean, I'm going to give El Neni a 5 as well. Just I don't even know if 5 is high because I've given Xhaka a 5. I mean, they got dominated. I'm going to give him a 4. I'm going to drop Xhaka to a 4 as well. I think they got dominated so badly. So 4 for both of them.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't give any of them much more than that. Much more than a 3 for me, because actually much more than a 2, because literally the midfield was the only part of the team that we didn't feel that they were there. I didn't feel that they were there. I didn't feel it. Yeah. So I wouldn't give them much. Odegaard, captain. I think he will do well as a captain in this team. I think he will do well. But one thing he needs to work on as a player, he needs to find a way of lifting others, because we know he has the quality, and we know that he has the qualities of a captain. But then he needs to start lifting others, because if you can do that, that's what Partey does. Partey has the ability to lift other players. He has the ability to bring other players up and just elevate their performance. If you can do that, if you can take on more responsibility, give us that individual quality and brilliance that we expect from him and Martinelli and Saka. He needs to be up there. He needs to be creating those creating those chances, whether we are playing well or poorly. We cannot have zero creativity. I mean, we can't, right? And then he also needs to, like I said, he needs to be that magnet that sparks quality. If he can do that, I think he's an okay player. So not okay players are okay, but I think he's good. He's fine. So, but today, no, I don't think I would blame him so much, because, like I said, we look at Odegaard. He's one of those players that he's like a striker. You feed him, then he feeds. Right. The moment there is no supply to him, he can just do so much. So
non-existent, unfortunately. I mean, we've seen a couple of times where it's been non-existent in this kind of games. I don't remember which away game it was. I don't think it was Aston Villa, because we won that game. But there's another game where he went totally quiet, and we were like, if you don't get those chances, you still need to show something. And the number of times he was fouling players today, there's a couple of unneeded fouls and unnecessary. In terms of, there's a chance in the second half, I think in the 88th minute or something, where he should have shot it. He shot it too late and it was blocked. And then the second attempt, he tried to backheel it to, I don't know who it was behind him.
To Martinelli.
Just cross the ball with your left foot. The guys were on the other side. So decision making now. But Odegaard, for me, has had a good season. He's one of the players we can build the team around next season, but he definitely needs some help. We cannot. I think he's one of the players who's played every single day, 90 minutes for us during this crucial period. All the other players have been subbed off. The likes of Saka, Ben White has missed a couple. Odegaard has been playing 90 minutes. So I'm going to give him a 5 average.
Yeah, 5 average. Smith Rowe.
Oh.
Smith Rowe is a difficult one, because I didn't understand why Mikel played him. With the kind of structure that Mikel decided to go for, I didn't see any role for Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe plays in games where you're ready to dominate, but when you got timid, then you need outlets that are as fast as Gabriel Martinelli and Saka. And the approach for me didn't suit Emil Smith Rowe, not at all.
Mm,
I saw him
mm.
try to dribble 1 or 2 times and then he lost the ball. And I was like, you can only do, so much. So he was horrendous. He was horrendous. Bad game. That's a bad game. I said to him, yes, I had a bad game. This guy had a bad game.
There's a time he was just shoved out. I don't know by who. I don't know if it was St. Maximin or Almiron. Just easily shoved off. Now, this is the first time ever I've screamed for, please take off Smith Rowe. It's the first time I've asked Arteta to take out Smith Rowe because he's one of my favorite players. I think, again, he's had a very good season. Like all those goals he scored for us. But then, as you said, those games where he scored goals, the games we were supposed to be winning. Watford at home, Aston Villa at home, those kind of games where he got goals. That even United, you can say he scored against them. Like those games where we started quick and we were supposed to win the games. But today he was very poor. Like he couldn't pass the ball. He was being dominated in terms of strength. I mean, even when he was coming off, he looked very tired, and it was only the 45th minute or something. So, I mean, very, very poor today. But you're very right. You've hit the nail on the head. So you're supposed to play him in the games you're dominating, and then Martinelli the games that need a bit of energy, a bit of energy. Sometime maybe we won't have enough time to decide that this season or get to see that. But I would have loved to see what would have happened with Martinelli on the left and Smith Rowe as the 10, and then Saka on the right, and then Ketia up front, or maybe Martinelli up front, and then you have Odegaard, Smith Rowe, all of them together. I would love to see what that would have been, but obviously we have no time with that. Smith Rowe is a very good player. Obviously, if I was to give him another contract, I would, but he should be helping out. He should not be the ones we're depending on. Him and Saka, we've depended on them too much. For 2 years now, we depended on them. But I think right now Martinelli is ahead of Smith Rowe, but there was a time this season where Smith Rowe was ahead of Martinelli. So today, again, another player who this was his worst performance of the season. I am going to give him, Smith Rowe, I'm going to give him the lowest because, I'm going to give him a 2.
Yeah, I can't disagree. And it's one of those. It's one of those players who really work hard. I didn't see that today.
Yeah.
Did see him work hard. He works very hard, but didn't see him. Didn't see him work very hard.
Very quiet. It's like it's one of those players who it looks like he was absolutely overwhelmed by the pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Saka, Mr. Arsenal. Saka has been he's been lifting us on his shoulders. Maximum respect for me to him. Today, just like any other, no difference. Tried a few dribbles, but they found. I mean, my fear with Saka is that his playing style can easily be found out. He's not the same as Gabriel Martinelli. Martinelli has a lot of features to his game that we've not seen. And actually, with Martinelli, the basic features of the game, we've not seen them. Like, get the ball and cross it in. Like, get the ball and shoot. I mean, before he takes a shot, he wants to, move that ball around his feet for 3 times, right? I mean, if he can get the ball through his feet and through the out of his head, he's a great player. With Saka, I think with 2 players around, but with 2 players on him, those 1v1s will die out. But the good thing with him is that I've already seen him play well with Martin Odegaard in those, quick successions, quick passes, right? Set it up, I set it up, I run into space, I set you up. I think that is one of the aspects of his game that he needs to put much emphasis on, because with that one, you can easily beat any defender. You can easily beat any player, right? So, but today, bad. Not a good game, honestly. Not a very, very good game. We've got to agree.
Anu, Fasola Anu probably knows. I usually say not Jacques, my goodness me, I wish. When Saka has the ball, you feel like something is going to happen. That is the truth. Yeah. Today, in the first half, when he got the ball 2 or 3 times, he ended up taking a shot or winning as a corner. He was definitely putting the defenders under pressure 2 or 3 when he got the ball. I think he's one of those players. Yes, he might be able to know what he's about to do or stuff. But every time Saka has had the ball this season, like the opposition players, there's been like 3 or 4 opposition players around him, knowing he's very dangerous. So we have something there. you definitely have something there. And for someone who's 20, because there's a lot you can improve on. Like the times, how many I've seen him so many times this season ending up at left back, at right back again, as the number 10 on the left side today. When Pepe came on, Saka moved to the left side. He's been playing on the right side. He's done so much for us. But I think we're still going back to what we were talking about back in January and February. I think Saka is just tired. I think he's played way too many games. We've not had help. Every time Saka has to be the first player in the team sheet because we have no one else to put on that side. I know we'll come back to Pepe later, but today, as you said, not one of his better games at all. Just an average 5.
Yeah, just an average 5, and I hope he can get some time to rest because I mean, he's going to look at this season. He must be the most disappointed player this season.
You think so?
Yeah, he must be.
In terms of individual performances, or
yeah, individual performances, he must feel like we should have gone to the Champions League because he's done a lot. He's really
done a lot. Yeah, he's definitely not.
Who was the striker today? Was it Lacazette? Was it Nketiah? Because I don't remember, man.
Do we have one?
that front line today showed their real quality.
Oh my goodness! I would have taken Wilson in our team ahead of Nketiah 100% today.
That is when we talk about, I mean, many Arsenal fans say, "Oh, because we need to." The two things I've said with Mohamed Elneny and Eddie Nketiah when they played well, they show us the direction and quality of players we need, but they are not them. Nketiah shows you that you need a relentlessly pressing striker, but not Nketiah, honestly.
Yeah.
Nketiah can have these performances like 20 in a campaign, where he just against Van Dijk, against Thiago Silva, against Rudiger, against Ruben Neves, against Conor Cody, against Dan Ban. He can have so many in a campaign. And then he comes in against probably Norwich, scores, Leeds,
hat-trick.
And then Nketiah is the man, but he's never the man. We cannot get fooled. He's never the man.
Yeah, 100%. You cannot tell me that he's done very well in the last few games, but you cannot sit down and tell me, yes, next season Nketiah is going to be our striker. Come on, we'll be lying to ourselves. Yes, you can say you can give him a new contract if you want and have him on the bench again, but then again, he's not going to be happy because he's looking for regular games next season. Yeah. But he's not going to get that. So yes, he's done well. We've seen a few abilities, a few good goals this season, especially in the Carabao Cup and everything. But you need a striker who's going to be there for. You need, Thierry Henry, as I said back in the Invincible season, he played 37 games out of the 38. He missed one. And in those 37 games, I'd like you to find out how many games he played poorly. Probably a couple of games against maybe Portsmouth or something. But if you look at all the others, he was the go-to guy. Now, Thierry Henry is the king. You cannot compare him to Nketiah. Yeah. But you can bring it further forward to Van Persie. Van Persie used to turn up the entire season. There's a couple of seasons Van Persie was just there the entire season scoring goals. You cannot play four good games.
I think his last season in Arsenal, we won a couple of games 1-0, and he was the goal scorer.
Every single time. It was Van Persie. Against Everton, Van Persie. Spurs, Van Persie. So you need someone who's going to definitely play for you. Nketiah has done well in the last few games. Some people like him. Some people believe that he's not gotten enough chances. Fair enough. But you need, as I always say, when Van Dijk is up against let's say Van Dijk is up against Benzema, he will not sleep next week. He will be watching videos to see how Benzema has done. He'll be asking Matip and Konate, what should we do to take care of this player, Benzema, Vinicius, how are we going to deal with them? The painful truth is, when Van Dijk is up against Nketiah,
doesn't matter.
He will sleep very nicely. He will sleep at 9 p.m. that night. He will wake up at 9 a.m., 12 hours sleep. He'll not be worried at all. I need my strike. I need my strike. Again, this is not, I'm not blaming Nketiah at all. He's actually the one who's gotten us into this position with those goals against Chelsea and everything. Those days. But you need a striker who's going to put fear into the defender's heart and mind and soul and everything. You need to put fear into the defenders. I don't think Nketiah puts fear into the defenders. Whether it's Dunk from Brighton, whether it's Cody from Wolves, I don't think he puts pressure into the defenders. Defenders will know, like, oh, it's Nketiah or it's Lacazette. This will be easy to deal with. I need a striker whose defenders will be like, oh my goodness, we are up against this guy tomorrow. This is going to be hard. So Nketiah did well in a few games again, but again, as we said, both of us is not going to be the full-time striker next season. So today, I'm going to have to give him a 4 for today.
For Lacazette did come on, by the way, and he's
Did he?
yeah, he came on, and I saw him getting this. Is that headband? I was like, wow. I mean, when you come on and get a headband, it shows that you've been trying to fight.
You've been trying to fight. I mean,
yeah, I don't think it was any better. I don't think it was any better.
Oh my goodness, he did not do
You know,
anything.
he has only scored 4 goals this season. Yeah, he has only scored 4 goals this season.
Very terrible. My goodness. People's made me believe. Again, when we were doing shows with Cozy last July, we were arguing about Aubameyang and Lacazette. Aubameyang and Lacazette.
You wanted
Aubameyang. I wanted Aubameyang. I wanted Aubameyang to stay. I wanted Lacazette to go. That's how it's always been. And then obviously everything happened in November and December. And I was always asking myself, which one do I prefer to come on, Aubameyang or Lacazette? I definitely prefer Aubameyang to come on to get me a goal, not Lacazette. And then obviously people came on and, Aubameyang is lazy. Aubameyang doesn't make the runs. Lacazette holds up the ball well. And then I started thinking, maybe these people are right. And then Aubameyang, everything happened with Aubameyang. And then Lacazette put in a couple of very good performances. I was like, maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
But because you just said Lacazette has scored 4 goals. And how many of them? He scored a couple of penalties as well. I don't know how many.
I think 2 penalties.
Yeah, I think. So Lacazette is not, I don't think he's angry for the goals right now. I think he's developing to like a number 10, like the way Rooney did at the end of his career. But Lacazette to get you 10 goals, 20 goals.
And I think he's also thinking about how to. He's also thinking about how to, find a bigger deal on a free.
I also don't like. I also am not a fan of playing players who are about to leave. I do not like that as well, because I know they're going to give someone you can say that, but even if you don't get Champions League, Lacazette and Nketiah have not signed a contract. Does it bother them? I don't think it does. As I said, Saka will be the one who's hurt because he's going to be here next season. Ramsdale will be the one who's hurt because he'll be here next season. I mean, Nketiah could just say right now, you know what, I'm going to leave anyway. I'm not going to be at Arsenal. It doesn't really hurt me that much. I really don't like playing players who are leaving, not just Arsenal, even Chelsea. For Rudiger, I would not even have been playing him like in the league games because he doesn't really have to play this energy because he's going to another team. Yeah. So, like I said today, I mean, did we even see him? I mean, as I said, since he came on and he got injured and he got the whatever. I mean, do you know Wilson played without a tooth today? He was hit. His tooth came off and he still dominated us. I would have been outside there for 40 minutes crying. And he still came on and scored. I'm going to give Lacazette a 2. I mean, for the time he was on the pitch, terrible. But I think Lacazette was the one who was most terrible. Cozy, oh my goodness. I'm losing hope in this guy. Oh my goodness. Which camp are you on? Are you in the camp of he needs to play more games, or in the camp of you've given up on him?
I gave up on him before this season.
Before this season. Interesting.
Because he ended the season very well. Last season, he ended very well.
Right, true.
And my idea was this is when you can get good money out of him. And many people were like, and when many people were on my case, because you cannot say that. Because you cannot say that. This guy needs more time. He needs more game time. I mean, people will understand. Like, I love him because he's one of the Africans in the team, and representation, things like that. From Africa, AFCON, but. No, Arsenal first. In this
at the beginning of the season, again on the show we did with Cozy, we both predicted Pepe to get 10 goals. Oh my goodness, how wrong can you be? Has he even scored one? He scored one against Wolves. He scored one against Wolves.
He scored one against Wolves. Has he scored another?
I don't even remember how many. Oh, that could be because he's not playing. But even if he comes on,
I think he scored one against. Was it?
Oh, you're thinking that's a problem. If you're thinking that's a problem, if you're thinking that's a problem, if you're thinking about how many goals our right winger scored, that's a problem. If I ask you right now which goal Saka scored, you'll say, oh, Man United.
Yeah.
Right away. Smith Rowe, Leicester, he scored. Odegaard, Burnley, he scored. If you're thinking about which team he scored against, that's a problem. It's a combination of him not playing, obviously, but even when he came on today, when you run across the pitch and then you give the ball right straight to a Newcastle player and you put it in terms of 3 against 1, like what was he doing? Like just cross the ball. Too much dribbling every single time, man. Too much dribbling. Again, Pepe, would I sell him this season? I'm sorry for the guys who love Pepe. I would, man. I would.
For Pepe, any option, I could let him go on loan. I could sell him. I could let him go on a free. I could terminate his contract. Anything.
How old is he?
Pepe is 20. I think he's turning 28.
Oh my goodness. Because I don't know. Some people still say he needs to play 10 games in a row. I don't know. But for me, like he's been here since Emre's season. He's been here. Emre's season didn't really do well. Last season didn't really do well until the final 6 games. Is he consistent enough? Is he going to? He's the one who's supposed to be helping out Saka. We should not be depending on Saka.
Yeah.
Pepe should be the one playing ahead of Saka. Forget about even Saka playing ahead of him. He was bought for 70 million. He should be the one playing. So I think it's just time to cut on our losses, man. I don't think where will he help us next season?
So that is it, lads. That is our reaction to the game. Player ratings as well. Disappointing. Very, very disappointing. We'll be back tomorrow. Lots of Arsenal stuff, lots of Arsenal news to get through with me, Kosi, and Glenn. Glenn is now an official presenter on the channel. So make sure you see him, give him a like, and talk to him, chat with him. He'll be having his shows on a daily basis. So will I. Glenn, just a good night, and then we leave, because it's not going to be a good night anyway.
It's not going to be a good night for sure. Like a day like this, you try not to watch all these Sky Sports and everything, get onto Twitter.
Yeah.
You just try not, just sit down and relax, take a cup of tea. Don't, because the more you see those mistakes, the more you see the pundits talking, it's going to be terrible. So thank you guys for watching very much. I think Kazi put the outro now. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll catch up with you guys on the next one.